Like, if you're a basketball fan, you grow up a fan, like, you love the Celtics. Well, maybe I guess you could hate them, but...
Caitlin Clark walked into TD Garden like she had something to prove. And by the end of the night, everyone in that building knew he did. This wasn't just another game on the schedule, it was payback. It was personal. And it all played out under the bright lights of one of basketball's most iconic arenas.
I think for myself, like, the Celtics is one of the premier organizations of the NBA. Like, you always grow up knowing what the Celtics are about. And
19,000 strong packed the Garden, most of them rocking Fever colors, chanting Clark's name like it was Indiana's home floor.
Gets denied by Boston. Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Obviously, having won a championship 2 years ago now, it's kind of cool to just be in this building and kind of, you know, surround yourself with the greatness that has played in this arena over the course of however many years. So
look at Wheeler staring to the right side, knows who's there, drop pass behind. Could be the deepest shot we've seen Caitlin Clark.
The energy was wild, the stakes were high, and what unfolded? History, heartbreak, and a whole lot of drama. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just show up, she showed out. She got her revenge. But in the end, she paid the price.
And when you got a girl like Caitlin on your team, and you got a star on your team like Luka or Bron, yeah, some hitters on that team that'll go hard for the main player.
Got a little separation. Clark circling around, sets up Samuelson, who's wide open.
But this wasn't just another stop on the WNBA schedule. This was personal. Just weeks earlier on June 17th, the Fever played the Sun in a game that quickly turned infamous. That night, Clark was targeted in ways that went far beyond tough defense. J.C. Sheldon poked her in the eye. Marina Mabrey delivered a body check that had no intention of playing the ball. It was chaotic, physical, and at times, borderline reckless. The officiating failed to get control, and what followed was frustration from fans, commentators, and players alike. Clark, Sheldon, Mabrey, and even Tina Charles were all hit with technicals. Sheldon received a flagrant 1, but despite the escalating aggression, no one was ejected. The basketball world took notice.
Couldn't quite describe what was happening with J.C. Sheldon and with Caitlin Clark from the very opening minutes of the game.
I loved it.
It's good TV.
Bing drags out Nelson Adota. Clark will fire and hit the three.
Highlight reels of Clark getting slammed circulated widely. Sports networks, analysts, and even casual fans began asking the same question. Why is the league letting this happen to her? So when Clark stepped into TD Garden to face the Sun again, the tension was already built in. The stakes were higher. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about proving that the Fever and Caitlin Clark were no longer going to be bullied. From the opening tip, it was clear the atmosphere was different. The Fever weren't just prepared to play, they were ready for war.
Clark bounce pass. There's Boston.
You're right, because the Caitlin games and Indiana Fever games are highly publicized and watched, and the viewership is high. There's a lot of eyes on those moments.
Back Benley. Here's Clark, a good look from three. She got it. The first.
Caitlin Clark does not need much space here.
Here's Clark off a screen, gets a look, and hits.
Clark was locked in, focused, and calm, but there was a fire under the surface. She remembered everything, every hit, every no-call, every headline, and this time she wasn't alone. Enter Sophie Cunningham, the Fever's newest spark plug. She took on the enforcer role, setting hard screens, talking back, and making it crystal clear. Caitlin Clark would not be touched without consequence. The Sun, sticking to their playbook, threw everything at Clark. Full court pressure, double teams, traps off the dribble. Their strategy was simple: make someone else on Indiana beat them. But that strategy no longer worked, because this time, the Fever were ready. They weren't relying solely on Clark's scoring. They had become a real team, and they played like it. Clark, despite struggling to shoot, orchestrated the offense with confidence. She drove into the paint, read the floor, and found her teammates in rhythm. Kelsey Mitchell caught fire early, dropping 20 points with smooth jumpers and backdoor cuts. Natasha Howard dominated the glass, pulling down boards and cleaning up around the rim for 18 points and 13 rebounds. Cunningham came off the bench and drained timely threes, keeping the pressure on Connecticut's defense. Even Aaliyah Boston, who couldn't buy a bucket, contributed with smart passes, rebounds, and defensive stops. The Fever were moving the ball, pushing the pace, and spreading the floor, finally returning to the identity they had drifted from earlier in the season. This wasn't a one-woman show anymore. This was a unit, clicking on all cylinders. Clark's fingerprints were everywhere. Even when her shot wasn't falling, her vision and decision-making opened everything up. She attacked the double teams not with panic, but with poise, passing out of pressure, keeping the defense scrambling. The result? 22 assists on 29 made shots. That's elite-level basketball. The Connecticut Sun, meanwhile, had no choice pace, but to start respecting Indiana's supporting cast. Mitchell's hot hand stretched the defense. Howard's presence in the paint made help rotations risky. Cunningham kept the bench energy high. Boston, even without the points, anchored the middle. For the first time in weeks, the Fever weren't just surviving, they were dictating the terms. The revenge wasn't loud or flashy. It was methodical, it was smart, and it was effective. And then, as the final minutes approached, Caitlin Clark did what stars do. She took over, not with scoring, but with leadership. With 5 minutes left, she outscored the entire Sun team, making clutch plays, finding open shooters, and breaking down defenders one pass at a time. She wasn't just getting revenge for June, she was rewriting the story entirely. But just as the night was reaching its peak, something unexpected happened. With 5 minutes left in the game, Caitlin Clark took over. She outscored the entire Connecticut Sun team during that stretch, not just with points, but with presence. She controlled the pace, picked apart the defense, and made every possession count. It was like watching a conductor in front of a symphony. Calm, commanding, unshakable. But the numbers only told part of the story, because while the crowd was still buzzing over the Fever's team play, Clark was etching her name into the record. 3 WNBA records fell that night. First, she became the fastest player in league history to hit 450 career assists, doing it in just 53 games. That shattered the previous mark held by the legendary Ticha Penicheiro, who needed 62. Then she became the fastest player to reach 150 career three-pointers, a testament to her range, her quick release, and her confidence to shoot from anywhere. And finally, she extended her streak to 40 straight games with 5 or more assists, the longest in WNBA history. She didn't need to drop 30 points to dominate. She dictated the game from start to finish, even on an off shooting night. Just 4 made shots out of 14 attempts, only 1 three-pointer. But her fingerprints were everywhere. It was Clark's tempo, Clark's spacing, Clark's decisions, and then out of nowhere it happened. To Kelsey Mitchell, but as she turned to move, she winced. Her hand instinctively grabbed at her groin, the same area that's given her trouble before. She slowed her stride, then stopped. And in an instant, the adrenaline of the game disappeared. Her face said everything. Pain, frustration, fear. She walked to the bench under her own power, but her body language told a different story. She sat down, hunched forward, and tried to breathe through it. Cameras caught her biting her lip, and this wasn't a new issue. She's managed groin tightness before, but this time, it looked worse, and the timing couldn't be more brutal. The All-Star break is just days away. Clark is not only the captain support of her team, she's also scheduled to compete in the three-point contest, one of the most anticipated events of the weekend. Fans were counting on her. The league was counting on her. Now, everything is in question. After the game, head coach Stephanie White gave a brief update. That's it. No timeline, no details, just uncertainty. It was a tough way to end what should have been a celebration. Clark had just led the Fever to their 3rd straight win. The team looked more connected, more resilient, and more dangerous than they have all season. The chemistry was clicking, the roles were defined, and Clark, despite the low shooting percentage, had just delivered one of the most impactful games of her career. But all of that got overshadowed by one moment of vulnerability. Because that's the thing about sports. 1 second, you're breaking records. The next, you're holding your breath, wondering if it all just slipped away. And for Caitlin Clark fans, that's where things stand right now. Caught between pride and panic. Pride in what she's accomplished. Leading a young team. Adapting her game. Elevating those around her. She's taken every cheap shot, every headline, every doubter, and turned it into fuel. She's not just surviving the WNBA grind. She's reshaping it, but also panic. Because as much as the Fever have grown, they still revolve around Clark. Her vision, her leadership, her presence. And if she's forced to miss time, the momentum Indiana has built could vanish overnight. That's the reality of being a star. From the moment Caitlin Clark declared for the WNBA draft, the conversation changed. Not just for fans of women's basketball, not just for college hoops, for the entire sports world. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie. She's a phenomenon, a generational player whose presence alone has shifted the WNBA landscape. Her debut season has become one of the most scrutinized, polarizing, and celebrated rookie campaigns in league history, and we're only halfway through it. She entered the league carrying more weight than any player before her. More media coverage, more pressure, more expectations. And she didn't walk in quietly. She came in after becoming the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, men or women. She walked off the college court with over 3,900 career points, numerous records, and a reputation as one of the most electrifying offensive players basketball has ever seen. But the transition from college to pro, that's a different beast. And Caitlin walked into it head first. Every arena she steps into this season is sold out. Cities are breaking attendance records just to watch her warm up. Jerseys are flying off the shelves. Viewership numbers for WNBA games have soared, many times doubling or tripling previous averages. And yet, while all this is happening, she's still just 22 years old. A rookie, learning the professional game on the fly, going up against seasoned veterans who've waited for this moment to test her. The truth is, the WNBA wasn't ready for Caitlin Clark, not because the league lacked talent. There are legends and icons who've been dominating for years, but because they'd never had this kind of attention, this kind of spotlight. And with that spotlight comes both opportunity and pressure. On one hand, she's brought in a wave of new fans, many of whom had never watched a full WNBA game before. before she entered the league. She's elevated the league's profile, created media narratives, and opened the door for more endorsements, broadcast deals, and overall relevance. On the other hand, that spotlight has made her every move a headline. Every hard foul becomes a debate. Every missed shot a trending topic. She's dissected in real time across social media, talk shows, and highlight reels. She's not just expected to play well, she's expected to save the league, lead her team, and carry a cultural movement on her back. And somehow she's done it with grace, despite the physicality of the league, despite the off-court controversies, despite being targeted by defenders and sometimes even other players. Caitlin Clark hasn't folded. She's adjusted. She's evolved. She's taken criticism, learned from it, and kept showing up. She's already hit game winners. She's broken rookie records. She's dished out double-digit assists. She's had nights where she looked like the best player on the floor, even against veterans with a decade of pro experience. Her range, unmatched. Her vision, elite. Her competitiveness, borderline obsessive. But beyond the stats and accolades, Caitlin's true impact is cultural. She's made young girls believe they can be the main event. She's made networks believe women's basketball deserves primetime coverage. She's made sponsors and executives realize there's money in women's sports, real money. And she's made teammates, opponents, and fans alike raise their standards. Everywhere she goes, there's noise, and yet her game speaks louder. Her selection as an all-star wasn't just deserved, it was inevitable. She was voted a captain. She earned it with her play, her poise, and her popularity. But more than that, it was a statement that this new generation of WNBA stars isn't just ready, they're here. Still, that doesn't mean the journey's been smooth. Caitlin has faced physical play and questionable fouls. She's been on the receiving end of harsh words and even harsher hits, and most recently, she's dealt with injury concerns, raising alarm bells for a league that's come to depend on her presence. Because whether people admit it or not, the WNBA needs Caitlin Clark. They need her talent, her marketability, her fearlessness, her fire. She brings in casual fans and hardcore hoop heads alike. She makes the league must-see TV, and when she's not on the floor, the absence is felt. That's why every time she takes a hit or limps off the court, it's not just about the game, it's about the movement. Every moment matters now. Every play feels like history unfolding in real time, and the margin for error has never been thinner. That brings us to the moment we're in now. The injury scare, the questions, the uncertainty. But if history has taught us anything, it's this. Caitlin Clark doesn't break. And now we plug into your original conclusion seamlessly. That's the reality of being a star. You carry the weight, and sometimes that weight pushes back. Still, if there's one thing we've learned about Caitlin Clark, it's that she doesn't fold. She shows up, she adjusts, she plays through pain, she gets knocked down, and still manages to leave the court with history trailing behind her. This game was supposed to be revenge. It was supposed to be redemption, and it was. But it also reminded everyone of the cost that comes with greatness. So for now, fans wait, hoping the injury is minor, hoping the all-star captain is back on the floor, hoping this run isn't over before it really begins. Because if this was just the preview, the second act could be something legendary. You carry the weight, and sometimes that weight pushes back. Still, if there's one thing we've learned about Caitlin Clark, it's that she doesn't fold. She shows up, she adjusts, she plays through pain, she gets knocked down, and still manages to leave the court with history trailing behind her. This game was supposed to be revenge. It was supposed to be redemption, and it was. But it also reminded everyone of the cost that comes with greatness. So for now, fans wait, hoping the injury is minor, hoping the all-star captain is back on the floor, hoping this run isn't over before it really begins. Because if this was just the preview, the second act could be something legendary.